our farm stand did get broken into. Somebody came and ripped the cash box off of it and stole the money out of it. And so it's been a pretty bit, you know, just kind of a mess. And also we have shut the farm stand down. All right, Holly. Come on, girl. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Let's go, girl. We got some few things we got to get today. Holly, this is it right here. This is what we need right here. What we got? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So that's 36. That's 48. 2, 4, 2, 4, 6. That's 24. That's what we need. That's like 72 right there. I just wanted a roundabout idea of how many I need to get today, because it's getting close to the end of their rope. And that is, y'all, you can see there's bees on it. Look at them. Bees, 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 bees. Anyways, we need to take cuttings of our African Blue Basil today. You can see the wind blew it over, but it'll straighten itself back up. Got to get this done at some point today, though. I do want to go ahead and get that before it gets too late, you know what I mean? Also, before we do that, come on, girl, load up. Come on, you ready? Got to go show y'all something. Let's go, girl. Yeah, let's go. What is going on, y'all? Jason over here at Cog Hill Farm. Hope you guys are having the best day ever today. Wanted to give you guys a quick update on this baby right here. So, you know, for those that don't know, our farm stand did get broken into. Somebody came and ripped the cash box off of it and stole the money out of it. And so it's been a pretty bit, you know, just kind of a mess. And also we have shut the farm stand down for a few days. We wanted to, you know, wrap our head around some things, figure some things out. Plus we had to get a new money box and come up with some ideas of what we want to do with the farm stand. And after thinking, we got a great idea, and we're going to try to implement that in the next week, or probably this coming up week, if the weather cooperates. It's still raining here pretty much a good little bit. Hurricane Francine, it looks like I got to Nashville and just stalled out over there. Also, we got something that we're thinking about doing to the farm stand that the outer towners, that some people also enjoy, that won't be farm stand related. And we'll get into more details when we start working on it. I think I can knock it all out in one day. I'm gonna get my buddy Clack over there to Clack Shack to make something for me, and I know more on that later. But that's the update on the farm stand. Update on the person that did what he did. Well, as of right now, y'all, nothing's really been done. And, you know, we kind of figured that. This is just a, you know, what he did was just a, you know, a little misdemeanor. It's going to be a slap on the wrist. I know how it works. And I know that law enforcement and the cops are not going to go over there and to wherever he was and take the SWAT team or whatever and go get him for, you know, what he did here for our farm. And you know, I understand that. I understand that. They weren't going to, you know, waste resources on a petty theft like that. And I totally get it. But so basically what's going to have to happen is that more than likely he's going to have to get caught doing something else, or something even minor like a traffic violation. And then when he gets pulled over or whatever he gets caught doing, then because he had 3 or 4 outstanding warrants on him already, and then add hours on top of it, and that's how he's going to get caught. And of course we'll have to go to court when our case comes up, but we'll keep you guys updated on all that. But I did want to give y'all an update on the farm stand and the theft and what's going on, because a lot of y'all are asking about it. And that's it. That is it right there. Can I ride? You gonna drive? Can I ride? Can I get right there? All right, let me get right there. Back on up, let me get right there. Back up, I gotta get right here, girl. Yeah, I gotta get right here, yeah. Yeah, I know. You gonna help me? You gonna help me? All right, let's go. All right, the egg stand's back in business.
Reckon who laid that tiny one?
I don't know. Maybe a Polish.
We're going to have to put some food coloring on our vent and see if we can't figure it out.
Oh, we better not. Oh, goodness.
Are you counting?
No, I'm not counting.
Okay, I'm not either. We're going to call it a basket of eggs.
Okay.
Right, girl?
I think this bucket right here will work good for what I want to do. I really do. What's going on, guys? How y'all doing this morning? Y'all doing okay? Hard to believe this was the summer garden, isn't it? At some point this summer, this was the summer garden. But we still got plenty of this African blue basil out here. I told y'all about me putting my weed mat around the greenhouse. Hurricane Francine decided she didn't like that idea for whatever reason. So I got to go back and get that back in the ground. And I had these big spikes too. And I had a bunch of them, not just a few, a bunch of them. We'll get that fixed though. I'm gonna show you how to do this real quick. It's super duper easy, y'all. So easy. Like real easy. So this African blue basil that we grew this year, that the bees and the pollinators absolutely went crazy over, and that's why we planted it. Jason from Petals from the Past told us about it. He said this is the hottest thing that the beekeepers are wanting, and that is African blue basil. As you guys, y'all can probably see the bees flying all over it right now. I mean, they're everywhere. But why I'm taking cuttings off of it instead of saving seeds, this is a hybrid. Now, a hybrid is not a bad thing or a scary thing. I know sometimes people hear that word and get kind of confused, but a hybrid is where they're cross-pollinating basil. So they're taking one basil that, I don't know, let's just say for instance has small leaves, and they're cross-pollinating it with a basil that has big blooms. And when they cross-pollinate it, it comes up with one that has big blooms and small leaves. Does that make sense? So a lot of times when they cross-pollinate plants, for instance, is that they're trying to get the best of both worlds. So let's just say tomatoes. This makes it really easy. So say if you got a tomato that tastes delicious, but it is prone to blight. But then you got a tomato that's not as delicious, but is blight resistant. They'll cross-pollinate those two tomatoes and come out with a hybrid. And it could have both personalities or both traits. It could taste great and be blight resistant. So hybrids are not a bad thing. I think people get kind of confused on that, but it's not a bad thing at all. So what I'm doing on this basil is that, all right, I just cut it off. I cut it off anywhere. I don't want any blooms on it. I want this thing to produce roots. I'm gonna pull a lot of the leaves off. And when I did this last year, you know, I pretty much had a 100% success rate with taking cuttings for basil. Now roses, I have about a 40 to 50% success rate. I'm just gonna cut me off a bunch of it, and I'm gonna take it back to the greenhouse and then get my cuttings off of it. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion. But I could go ahead and cut the blooms off here, so I ain't gotta worry about those. Man, it still smells good. I don't think this is a type of basil that you want for flavor-wise. And it smells like basil, but I can tell it's a little bit different. I haven't eaten it. The only reason we're growing this basil is for the bees and the pollinators. So I don't know what it tastes like, but typically, if you let basil bloom like this, It will not taste as good, but I think this basil, you can see all the blooms on it. It's just loaded down. And I think that's its main purpose, is for the blooms, the look, and the pollinators. This is not a great culinary basil. And I know there's gonna be somebody out there that says, I love African blue basil, it's delicious. But that's kind of not what it's known for. Also, talking about hybrids, I know a lot of times people get confused with hybrids and then the term GMO. They hear that and they think hybrids are GMO, or they're scared of GMO, or are they going to get GMO seeds, or is that a GMO? I'm going to tell y'all, a home gardener will never, ever, ever buy a GMO seed. Never. They're extremely expensive, and they're only for commercial agriculture. Extremely expensive. Like thousands of dollars for a bag of GMO seeds. So you're not going to buy GMO. So do not worry about that whatsoever. Now what happened is, I'll tell you what happened. A lot of seed companies out there started marketing their seeds as non-GMO seeds to the home gardener, because they know fully well that there's never going to be a GMO seed to the home gardener. So they use it as a marketing scheme, is what they did. And that kind of made things even worse, kind of actually. But so when that happened, and all these seed companies, well, a few seed companies did it, and to me, your honest seed companies, they had to eventually fall in line because they were losing market share and customers, or were getting a bad rap because their seeds were considered GMO because they didn't say non-GMO seeds on it, even though all home gardening seeds are not GMO seeds. GMO seeds are strictly only for commercial agriculture, and they are beyond expensive, crazy expensive. And there's only a very few crops that are even genetically modified. So the difference between GMO and hybrid, when you hear those terms, is that hybrids are pretty much just cross-pollinated. I mean, that's basically it. You're cross-pollinating things that can cross-pollinate. Now, GMO, so to put this in layman's terms, to put this in Farmer Jason's terms that would make sense, is that they would take a basil and take a DNA from something that's not even plant related. So let's say holly. They took some DNA from holly because they wanted a furry basil. Okay, this is made up. Okay, this is just to give you an example what GMO is. So they took some DNA from holly because they wanted to make a furry basil, and it became successful. And then you had the holly furry basil out there, and they put that on the market. That would be considered GMO, because GMO stands for genetically modified organism. Okay, that's what it stands for. So you're taking DNA from one thing and DNA from something that's not even in the same realm, not even the same category, and crossing it some kind of way. I have no idea how they do that, and coming up with a whole new thing. I know that makes zero sense. Makes zero sense to me too, but that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So I want to kind of clear that up, because a lot of people get scared, and I know there's a lot of, I don't know, misinformation out there that kind of gets people confused, and I just wanted to clear that up so you guys could understand it better and not be scared and not be confused and not worry about something that that can be a little scary, especially if you don't know. And I also know there's going to be some people out there that are going to tell me I'm wrong about the GMO, and that Walmart seeds or GMO seeds, but that's fine too. Oh, I probably should, I know what I should do. I should explain why you can't, oh, my basil's fixing to fall out because of the wind. I need to explain why you can't save seeds on a hybrid. So the reason why you don't want to save seeds on a hybrid is because it won't breed true. So what that means is, if I were to save the seeds off this and plant it next year, since this is a hybrid, since this basil was created by cross-pollinating two different ones, or it could be more than two, a certain percentage of those seeds I plant are going to be the parent plants. A certain percentage would be the African Blue Basil. A certain percentage is not going to do anything at all. And then a certain percentage, it could even be a whole nother different variety. So if you wanted true blue African Blue Basil, the only way to do it is to take cuttings off of it year after year, or buy from a seed company that how they do it, I have no idea. It's beyond my thinking. Or buy seeds from a seed company that list them as African Blue Basil. I need to get this drip irrigation out of the garden so Brooke can bush hog it. Okay? You watch my basil for me. Keep an eye out on it. Make sure nothing happens to it, okay? While I'm out here and before I go get Brooke to bush hog the old garden plot, I got to show y'all the sun hemp right here. Number one, look how big it is. I mean, it is. This stuff grows super fast, but really big, really thick. Again, this is probably one of your top summertime cover crops out there. But you can see how big it got and how fast it got. But I want to show you why it's hard to cut with a regular lawnmower. You got to have something pretty big because it is fibrous and it is really, really, really tough. But I'm gonna let it continue to grow on up before we cut it. I want it to get a little bit bigger than this. You can see it's blooming, has these beautiful yellow flowers on it. The pollinators love it, and I want to tell y'all how wonderful it smells. It smells like candy. It is the craziest thing. It smells like you open up a bag of like a fruit candy, like a fruit hard candy, and you open it up in that first whiff, it is unreal the way the sun hemp smells. And so far, we haven't seen a single kudzu bug since we torched and planted the sun hemp on our farm. Zero. Holly, what you think about it? Smell good, girl? Yeah, she said it smells good too. All right, y'all. So I want to personally thank everybody that came out to Petals from the Past yesterday. I know the weather was a little crazy.
Yeah, we didn't really know what to expect going into it, but
we really only had one big rain event, and other than that, it was overcast and windy.
Oh, it was very comfortable,
Yeah,
except for that torrential downpour that happened for what, an hour or so.
Yeah, that was the only thing. But we can't thank you guys enough. It always humbles us when we see y'all come out and meet us and hug our necks and shake our hands, and it just means the world to us. You ready to go bush hog the garden plot for me?
You got it ready?
I got it ready.
All right, well, that's all I needed to hear.
Okay. You ready? Y'all, the chickens are gonna love this spot. We got some more zinnia seeds the other day. I don't know how many we got. We know we got almost a bag full, so that should be plenty for us to use next year. But yeah, the chickens are gonna love this. This is gonna be right up their alley right here. All the little seed heads that are left over and everything, they're just gonna love it. Absolutely love it. You know we like to run our chickens through our garden plot, so this was one prior right here, and that one looked like that one several months ago. This was our fall garden last year. So when they got through with that, we moved the chickens to this spot. This is where our purple hull peas were, And look how clean they got it. That's just amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. So they are fertilizing the spot, cleaning up weed seeds the best they can, eating insects. So this was pretty full. Y'all remember what the plot looked like? A few weeks later, here it is. And so we will tarp this. I think I'll plant a cover crop here, a fall cover crop. But when we move them over here, in a few weeks, it's gonna look like that spot. And then what we'll probably do is move them to where the sun hemp is. So not only are the chickens providing us eggs here on the farm, they're also playing an important role of helping us fertilize, keep insects down, keep weeds down in the garden plots. They're doing a great job too. Amazing job. I'm going to show you how simple it is to propagate or take cuttings from this African blue basil. And this is how I do pretty much all of my cuttings. Roses or figs or whatever. It's pretty much the same way. I got just my general all-purpose soil mix here, and I've already pre-moistened it. You guys know that's what I like to do. If I'm starting seeds or whatever, I always like to pre-moisten my soil because generally the mix is kind of hard to get wet and you don't want stuff floating up or carrying away or going where it shouldn't go. So pre-moisten the soil is always best in my opinion. You're probably gonna get a little bit more dirt on your fingernails, but that ain't gonna hurt nothing. All right, so here we go. We got our seed trays ready right here. I got my cuttings right here. I got my rooting hormone. The label is off of it. I don't know what brand this was, y'all. But just your general rooting hormone. I remember back when I was first gardening, you couldn't find this stuff unless you went to a specialty store. Everybody carries it now. The last time I bought some, I got it from Walmart. And all that's going to do is that's going to help your cuttings to establish a root faster. So that's why you want a rooting hormone. You can use honey. I have used honey before and actually showed a buddy of mine that you could use honey with some, I think it was rosemary cuttings. So you can use honey, but this stuff is really, really inexpensive, way cheaper than honey. But if you're in an area that you didn't feel like going to town or it's 20, 30 minutes away and you got honey on hand, you can just dip your cuttings in honey instead. But it's easy, super easy, y'all. I'm just gonna take, and I can even take this one right here. I just pull this off right here. I'm just gonna cut it. You don't want too many leaves. You want some, but you don't want too many because you don't want to stress it out. So I'm just gonna leave a few leaves. You'll see what we got here, right here. I got it cut at a diagonal. And then I'm just going to, the rooting hormone is just a white powder. I'm gonna dip it in there. You can see like so. And then y'all, I'm just going to stick it in my tray like that. And that's it. Much like seedlings, the worst thing you can do is let it dry out. You do not want it to dry out. So by the time I plant these guys, they're probably going to look bad. They're going to be yellow. You're going to think there's no way in the world this is going to work. And this basil is so easy to grow and so fast that it's going to work. It's going to work. You'll have roots pretty daggum fast, y'all. I always say do more than you need in case some of them don't take. But last year, I swear I had almost at 100% rate. All right, y'all, here we go. We got 72 African blue basil plants. And I'll treat these just like my seeds. I'll keep them moist. I'm going to overwinter these and plant them in the spring next year. So what's going to happen is we're going to have some cold, cold nights. So I'm probably going to bring these guys in if it's going to get below freezing or freezing and below. I'm hopefully to have my heater in, but if not, that's what I'll do. That's what I did last year. But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get my heater installed this year before the cold, cold, cold weather hits here. But that's easy, and that's how I would do roses or any type of cutting. I would pretty much do it the same exact way. Holly, thank you for helping me today. You know what? Thank you very much. And as always, y'all be good